It all began on March 20th, 2004, when I went to my very first NYWC show. For those that do not know, it stands for New York Wrestling Connection. And they had a show at the Deer Park Community Center. It was on that very night where I first saw many wrestlers for the first time ever in action. At that time, Crusher Dugan was the in-ring commissioner, and they had a surprise at the very end of the night when Mikey Whipwreck was set to face Marty Jannetty and Tyler Payne in a handicap match, and unannounced and unadvertised, Al Snow comes out and saves the day for Whipwreck, enabling them to win the matchup. Now, 2 months later was a very good NYWC event where Nuke became their first ever heavyweight champion. Also that night, Matt Stryker and Rob Echoes, who later became Robbie E., captured the tag team championship. Then in July of that year, we had the first and only John Stengel Memorial Cup tournament. That was basically NYWC's edition of the Super 8 tournament that the ECWA does every year. I was hoping that was going to end up a yearly thing, but unfortunately that did not happen. Also, there was a show later that year at JFK Middle School on Lake Avenue in Deer Park where Mick Foley made a surprise appearance, and again, unannounced and unadvertised. And that very night, the fans were given the option as a vote if Crusher Dugan could remain commissioner or Mikey Whipwreck would become commissioner. Also at my very first show that night was the formation of the Rat Pack, which consisted of Brett Matthews, who became Zack Ryder, Baxter Cross, who kind of like Quentin Tarantino, Dan Dynasty, Armand de Muerto, Matt Hype, and Oscar, as they had interfered in a match featuring Mike Mayhem and NYWC's founding father, Curse. Now, I do apologize right now if I left anything out for each year, but I just want to get to this. Now, the year 2005 came, and Tommy Dreamer made a surprise appearance at the Psycho Circus, defeating Matt Stryker. That very same year, a man known as Stockade made his NYWC debut against the debuting Mike Spinelli. That very night, sitting near me, was the man we know as Jim Lundis, who used to bring a rubber chicken to the shows. But later that year, as that year went on, Jerry Lynn became the champion, Ultimo Dragon made an appearance, the Dudley Boys appeared, and also in the fall of that year, a young man known as Maverick, who we know today as Tony Nese in the WWE, first made his in-ring debut. In the year 2006, Mason Rage captured the heavyweight championship, defeating longtime NYWC journeyman Dickie Rods. Mikey Whipwreck was forced out of the company, losing a match to Dickie Rods. The birth of the Hi-Fi Championship, which was won by Plasma, who later became Trent Beretta. And also the formation of Prince Charles's Foreign Legion, which consisted of the Angus brothers, Ahmad Jihad Akbar, a.k.a. Eddie Guapo, Francois Lynn, King Mega. I forgot who else was part of the group that very year. The year 2007, Mikey Whipwreck returned right after the Psycho Circus match ended, and formed the Black Circle, which consisted of himself, Stockade, Scyther, Crusher Dugan, and Foxy, also known as Foxy Dreams. The Greek god Papa Don won the first ever Joker's Wild Battle Royal, and a few months later cashed in, defeating Jerry Lynn for the Interstate Championship. Alex Reynolds made his in-ring debut. He ended up becoming the Hi-Fi champion, and to this day the longest reigning Hi-Fi champion. Also, Mike Spinelli won the heavyweight championship from Dickie Rods. And near the end of the final show of the year, Plasma, who announced he was going off to the WWE, ended up defeating Quiet Storm to become the heavyweight champion. The year 2008, NYWC pulled off a huge coup as they announced they were going to have hardcore legend Terry Funk appear at a show aptly entitled Psycho Funkin' Circus, And I actually sacrificed going to Ring of Honor in New York City that night because I figured Terry was going to be doing pictures, and I did get a picture with him that very evening. Also, that same night, Dickie Rodds returned after not being seen in NYWC for I don't know how many months. It was also the year where NYWC unfortunately said goodbye to the Deer Park Community Center. They had a show in June of 2008, which unfortunately, I guess the show results are pretty much lost to history because their website at the time never posted the results. Other websites like WrestlingClothesline.com, I wish they were still around, they didn't post results. DeclarationOfIndependence.com, which was around at the time, they didn't post results. And being that I was really getting behind this promotion, it got to the point where I decided that maybe they could use some help. And that's when I created the NYWC message board. Now, I knew this was going to be a big risk on my part, and I really thought that owners Shane and John were going to be completely against this, and I thought they were going to say, we don't need it, take it down. And later that year, they started running shows at the Center Island Sports in Ronkonkoma, Long Island. I missed that place. And it was the night King Mega unseated Mikey Whipwreck for the heavyweight championship. And I come into the building, and John's working the door, and all of a sudden it clicked in his head. He asks me, "Are you Robert?" And that night I also met Shane, Crutcher Dugan, and Jim Lundis. It was also that very night I first saw a young man known as Francis Kipling Stevens compete. The year 2009, the NYWC started doing shows at their current home, the Sportatorium on Brook Avenue in Deer Park. That very year, Mikey Whipwreck had what we all thought was going to be his final match against Tony Nese. Big Time Rush and the Celtic Saints really brought some tremendous life to the tag team division as both teams became tag team champions that year. The first and only Taipei Death match in NYWC took place as Eddie Guapo went one-on-one with Boogaloo. And also that year, Bushwhacker Luke made an appearance against the Greek god Papa Don. The year 2010 saw the rise of Tony Nese. He became the heavyweight champion. The birth of Apollyon. The ignition of the Order of the Black. Mikey Whipwreck made return to the ring. The first ever Fusion show, as well as the first ever House of Madness show, took place in 2010. And man. And they also debuted at the Sports Arena in St. James, Long Island. I miss that place. The year 2011, we saw the rise of Ryan Rush as he became the heavyweight champion, defeating Alex Reynolds at Psycho Circus. Stockade capturing the Fusion Championship, and to this very day, Stockade is the longest reigning Fusion champion in the history of NYWC. Scyther ended up leaving. The birth of the Starlet division. And Mikey Whipwreck, I guess, ended up joining the Order of the Black and won the Tag Team Championship with Rex Lawless in a steel cage match. The year 2012, we saw the in-ring debut of the Big O. Longtime NYWC fan Alvin Alvarez also made his in-ring debut. The Beaver Boys ended Mikey Whipwreck and Rex Lawless's one-year stranglehold of the Tag Team Championship. Also that year, I can't remember what else happened that in 2012. In the year 2013, the Big O became NYWC's heavyweight champion, ending Apollyon's dominant reign. Francis Kipling Stevens winning the Fusion Championship. Bill Carr and Big Game Smith James, who we know today as Bull James, winning the Tag Team Championship. I don't know, I can't really remember everything, folks. I have stuff written down, but I can't remember it all. In the year 2014, Mike Mondo became the heavyweight champion. Flawless Blake Morris and Rex Lawless became Fusion champion. Nikki Adams made history, becoming the first woman to hold NYWC Tag Gold. Juicy Product and Milk Chocolate became NYWC Tag Team Champions that year, and also Francis Kipling Stevens ended up leaving NYWC. And also that was the year where the Deadly Sinners were ignited. For those who didn't remember, that was Crusher Dugan, Brian Vitko, Stockade, Apollyon, King Mega, Casanova Valentine, Jamie Van Leemer, and most of 2014, Joey Conway. The year 2015 saw NYWC doing starlet shows, where Sammy Pickles won a tournament to become the first, not the first ever, sorry, become the starlet champion. Mikey Whipwreck's final in-ring match, as he was defeated in the Psycho Circus by Stockade. Stockade also won the NYWC, started his first run as NYWC champion, defeating the Big O. Alvin Alvarez captured the Fusion Championship. Flawless and Lawless wound up dominating the tag team scene for a long time. The debut of the Hounds of Hatred, which was Boo Sullivan, Bam Sullivan, the Devil Doll, and Mouse. In the year 2016, we saw the Big O get injured, Willow Nightingale get injured, Brandon Watts of Milk Chocolate get injured. Tyler Murphy ended up winning the Fusion Championship. Deanna Perrazzo and Devil Doll end up, as well as Jay Red, wound up winning the Starlet title. The A-Listers, which was Alvin Alvarez and Jay Red, the Hounds of Hatred, and the Spirit Squad all became tag team champions in 2016. Also in 2016, JT Kaysen was NYWC's heavyweight champion for only a month. Then that brings us to now, which is the year 2017. And seeing that it was 13 years ago this month, I first went to NYWC. I mean, it's been quite a ride, and it's going to continue. But so far in 2017, we saw Bull James dethrone Stockade in the Psycho Circus match. Willow Nightingale returned from injury as she won the Starlet Championship. The Big O returned from injury, winning the Fusion Championship for the second time. The reunion of Milk Chocolate, and I'm sure there's going to be also the shock of Tommy Dreamer in the Psycho Circus match. But obviously there'll be more good times to come, and I mean, this is the one promotion. I mean, talk about longevity. This is like a promotion. This promotion I really believed in for so long. And it felt like yesterday there were so many doubters and naysayers and felt the company wasn't going to be around and didn't think it was going to last, or too many probably anti-remarks over the years were made about them. But they're standing tall. They're still with us today, and thank goodness. And this is one of the longest indies I've been supporting in my 15 years of going to indie wrestling. And, you know, I do have to say, to the men and women, hard-working men and women in NYWC, you keep the good, I'm sure you'll keep up the great work. And along the way, I mean, believe it or not, it felt like yesterday when I first started going to their shows. I used to sit in the back, and I was that one of the fans just sitting in the back watching the show all these years. And now most times you'll see me in the front row. And for those wondering, in 2010, that's when I first started bringing a megaphone. 2011 is when I first sat with one of my favorite NYWCites, Jessica. Along the way, I ended up meeting Jamie, who I wish would go, who hasn't really gone to shows these days, because he would drive me to the train station many times after the shows were done. In the early days of the company, I wish I could have gotten to meet original NYWC fan Arwen. There's other stuff like I said, I probably left a lot of stuff out, but I really wanted to, get this done and definitely put this together so everyone could hear what I've seen over the years in this company, and definitely hope a lot more great moments are coming as time goes on with NYWC, and Who could forget? I can never forget Shane chanting my name so many times when he sees me, whether it's outside the show, the building before a show, inside the building before the show starts, or at an after party after it's over. I just hope one day, I hope someday you guys can have a show somewhere in Brooklyn. That would be awesome. I know you've run in Queens in the past, over in Woodside. That was a great place. There's this is, I forgot to mention this. The very first show I went to back in 13 years ago this month. Out of everybody on that show, only 2 competitors still wrestle for NYWC today. So basically, talk about it's very rare. People are not, that were on that first show for one reason or another, that are not wrestling today. So basically, yeah, that's pretty much what I've seen out of NYWC over the years, and I do apologize if I forgot any moments, matches, anybody. How could I forget? Larry Legend and Jason Linnick, meeting you guys. Larry I met back in 2009, who started ring announcing for the company. Like I said, this is so much. I just couldn't remember it all. So I hope everybody enjoyed this, and hope for more as time goes on with NYWC.